can my marriage survive with our differences feeling insurmountable?
Ooh,
And
that's a big question.
yeah, and I wrote some bullet points.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, cool. I've been married for 31 years. We've always been each other's yin and yang. There's an 8-year difference in age. He's late 60s. I'm early 60s. He began transitioning to retirement 4 years ago. He's a self-employed contractor. I retired 2 years ago. He was fully retired by then with occasional small jobs. Our opposites are getting harder and harder to accept in each other. Expressing feelings are difficult for him, except negativity. I rarely hear I'm sorry from him voluntarily. I'm very verbal. I see the positive in things. And this all came to a head recently. I think it's because in September I decided I was going to start communicating with him in the same way he speaks to me. He got mad at me and yelled how unhappy he was and wanted to get into marriage counseling, but only recently followed through to make the phone call. We do have a screening appointment in a couple of days. I've been through therapy on and off through the years. I'm in individual counseling right now. I started about a month ago. He says I'm a teller, not an asker, and that I control everything. He says he can't talk to me. I say he doesn't treat me with kindness when speaking to me. I'm tired of the negativity, so I ignore him a lot. Seems the happier I am in retirement, the grumpier he has become. I say he drinks and smokes too much, and I have zero tolerance for it anymore. We made a deal that he would sleep in the guest room when he was under the influence, which he has adhered to, and he has cut back significantly in the last month. I asked him to move into the guest room permanently on Thanksgiving because he hadn't made the phone call to get us into counseling. I want to remain in separate bedrooms until we are in counseling and want to work with a counselor before we go back to sleeping in the same room. So, Dr. John, is our marriage salvageable? And is this a common situation in older/long-term marriages?
Yeah. You're not a lost cause, Stephanie. Give me a big exhale. I can feel how tense you are. Exhale big. Okay.
I'm going to take a sip of tea.
Take a sip of tea. Take a big swig of tea. Is that hard to say all that out loud to somebody?
Well, because I've been in therapy, recently. It's come out before, but
okay.
To say to you, yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is super normal. And you may have heard me use this language before, but y'all have gotten yourselves in quite the dance, and it's hard to get out.
Habits are hard.
Well, it's not even habits. It's two people seeking to connect with one another. But you just get in this chase. It's a game of chase, and it's hard to stop. And yeah, it's very common for somebody who has spent their life being a contractor to recognize my body doesn't do what it used to.
Yeah.
I can't get up and run 20 hours like I used to.
Right.
So I have to stop. And there is none, zero. There is no cultural path. There's no moment of education for 60-year-old men to say, and now what?
Oh, almost 70.
Almost 70. Right?
No, I know.
And there's something devastating about thinking, oh, I just sit on the porch until I die. And that story will make you pretty damn grumpy.
Right.
That's not an excuse, it's just a context. Okay?
Right.
And so you got a guy who stopped doing a thing. And y'all may have had some moments when the light shines through in California and through the breakfast window and y'all are having coffee together over the past 10 years and y'all talked about what it would be like when you retired.
Yep.
And those moments lit you up and those moments terrified him to death.
I don't understand why.
Because often for men, the whole world has told them they are absolutely useless beyond what they quote unquote provide. And most men have zero understanding, sight, training, a picture of what provision means other than money in a checking account, period. Maybe guys get guns and watch John Wick movies or they exercise a lot and they think they can provide security too. But for most men, they've been told you're the problem with everything on the planet. Shut your mouth and go to work. And they do. And they die early. And most men don't understand that many of their wives just want them. I just want you.
I just want them happy.
That's it. That's it. And he probably wonders every minute of every day why his wife doesn't like him so much.
I'd agree with that.
Which makes
I
him...
think the same thing. Why doesn't he like me?
But that's what I'm saying. Then it makes him grumpy. And then he snaps at you. And you wonder, why don't you like me? Well, fine, screw you. You can't even sleep in my bed anymore. And then he wonders, good God, why doesn't she like me? And then he snaps at you. And then you go, oh my gosh, you can't even be... Right?
And then I shut down and ignore him.
And it just turns into this dance that's really hard to get out of. And it's frustrating and it's hard. And you know what makes it feel better? Alcohol.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it feel better. Actually, that's not true. It makes it feel a little less painful.
And like he had to take an intake assessment and, for us to get into therapy. And, he's not well-versed with computers and stuff like that. So I had to do it with him. And everything was, how you feeling? All of its answers were, no, not at all.
Okay, but hold on. Can you imagine your wife says, get out of my house unless you do this thing, and you sit down to do that thing and you don't even know how it works? Can you imagine how embarrassing that feels? How small that would make you feel? And then they ask you to do the one thing that in his line of work for 50 years would get his head block knocked off. And that is talk about your feelings.
He doesn't talk about his feelings. He never has.
I know, but have you given him a safe space for him to do that at home?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Trust me. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
That's amazing that you've done that. But I want us to look at that as a skills issue, not a character issue. Because if he didn't know how to shoot free throws on a basketball court, you wouldn't kick him out. My guess is he doesn't know how. Maybe he didn't want to. Shoot, maybe. Maybe he likes torturing you. You know him better than I do. And if that's the case, he's a jerk and a scumbag, and your marriage probably isn't going to make it.
Well, like last night, the mental health people called to make the appointment for the screening phone call. And he got off the phone and he was not a happy camper. And I couldn't understand whether it was anger or frustration. I mean, it's just weird to me. It's like,
shame.
okay.
It's shame.
It's shame.
Do you know Do you know how embarrassing it is? I'm telling you this as a guy in my 40s. You know how embarrassing it is that I had to go talk to a professional so that I could learn new skills to talk and interact with my wife? It's embarrassing. That's why I've dedicated my entire life to sitting down with people and saying, don't be embarrassed about it. You know how humiliating it is to be 70 and still wonder why I'm so unlikable? And I got to go talk to some 32-year-old fresh out of grad school. It's shame. I remember
but yet he's lived with a girl who has been through serious trauma life stuff and seen how she's worked to heal that stuff. And yet that isn't enough for him to do 1 + 1 = 2? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. It's pretty. I would say that's not fair.
That's not fair of me to expect that of him.
Yeah, there's. I won't go into the nerd stuff. There's a psychological tenet, if you will, that we often judge ourselves by our intent and we judge other people by their actions. I snap because here's why, and I have a whole context for why I snapped at somebody. But if somebody snaps at me, it's because they're a jerk. They're a bad person. They're a scumbag. They're dumb. And so instead of judging, if I could give you one gift, it would be to toggle the judgment from judgment to curiosity. Instead of saying, man, your wife has been through so much trauma and you've seen the counseling and the this, and you see who I've become. I wonder what's going on inside of this man who has dedicated his life to taking care of his family. He's been a grump the whole time, and he smokes too much, and he snores like a freight train. But I wonder.
Actually, it's me who snores. But
Well,
okay.
but I wonder why that connection's never been made. Instead of, are you freaking kidding me? You've seen what I've done. One of those is get away from me. One of those is an invitation.
Well, I asked him one time, do you ever think about the health of our relationship or the status of our relationship or anything like that? Something along those lines. No. He's just always been this, day at a time, in the moment, take it as it comes, dude.
And is that also a big part of why you love him?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No. I mean, and excuse me.
No, you're good. You're good.
When it hit the fan, this, after September, we didn't talk for a few days, and it was like, okay, because, I don't respond well to anger or negative energy towards me at all. And I'm not going to respond to that. I will ignore it. When you get over it, let me know. And
hold on, do you hear that?
My anger? Yeah. Because I'm tired, John.
I know you are. I know you're exhausted. And I also know he's exhausted. I remember the look in my wife's eyes when we were sitting across the table from each other asking ourselves, is our marriage over?
Exactly.
I remember putting my hands on the table and I said, will you just say the words, I'm proud of you, because all of this has been for you. And she looked at me kind of hurt and she said, every action I do shows you that I'm proud of you. I said, you've never said it. She said, I didn't know I need to say it. I wish you told me that 20 years ago. I said, well,
but he's not even capable of saying that.
No. Are you?
Yes. Trust me. I tell him that we would not have the life that we have without each other. I would not have the life I have without him. That what we have built together is incredible. It's not good right now, but we asked each other straight up, do you still love me? Yes and yes.
Okay.
Would you think you'd be happier with somebody else? No and no. Do you want to get a divorce? No. Okay. Now we got something to work with. But this not being able to talk to each other anymore is nuts.
Okay, will you try something for me? You've tried the distance again. You've tried the kicking him out of the room. And you've tried the ultimatums. Okay, and y'all are going to see a professional, which I applaud. This isn't Hollywood and it's not sexy, but it'll work. I'd love for you to write down on a piece of paper, and I want you to sit down and look at him across the table and say, I know you love me, And I've never given you an explicit roadmap to my heart. I'm sorry. And maybe you're thinking, I have 1,000,000 times. He knows that I like flowers. But let's just try. And hand him a piece of paper that says, not, here's all the things you can't do in this house. Here's the ways that I feel loved. And maybe you can be silly and at the bottom say, will you love me? Yes, no, or maybe. And put little check boxes. And then tell him, it would be amazing if you gave me a roadmap to your heart. Because we're in the fourth quarter of our lives. We're in the fourth quarter of our marriage. And we get to decide what happens next. We get to choose it.
I was thinking about, how you tell parents with kids to get a journal
Mm-hmm.
and, put it on the pillow every night or every time you write in it. I just don't know if he would play.
But if he doesn't understand this is a roadmap to my heart, he'll think he's got another chore to do. If he knows, I don't understand this. It's the same as I've told on the show 1,000,000 times. I did not understand what chit-chat meant to my wife. It felt unproductive. It felt like I could be doing other things, like paying bills, like fixing something at the house, like doing something in the yard, like doing something. She just wanted me to sit there while she made dinner and talk about the day. Listen, sometimes not say anything, just be there. But it took her saying that 30 minutes of no phone, no screen, no action, just us means the world to me. And then I had a choice. I could go, I ain't doing that. We got every minute counts. Or I could say, cool. She went out on a limb and said, this is how I feel loved. As her husband, I'm going to provide that. Game on. And then occasionally, I say, I love chit-chatting with you.
Yeah.
But y'all have gotten in this weird dance, and what I want to tell you that dancing isn't, someone's got to, like I say this all the time, someone's got to turn the music off and turn the lights on.
I feel like I'm the one who does it all the time.
Okay, then say, I don't want to do that anymore, and I will take the consequences. Or choose to go one more time and say, this is what love looks like. I want one of these maps for you. How can I love you? What are 3 things that scare you about the next 10 years? What are 3 things that excite you about the next 10 years? You can't retire and do nothing. What do you want to do? Oh, no,
Well, and that's the thing. He has a boat. He goes fishing.
Okay.
And takes the dog for a walk all the time, and that's it.
Have you ever said I want to go fishing with you?
Oh yeah. I have a fishing license. I'm the bomb.
Okay.
But I'm also a Cinderella. The weather has to be just right.
Okay. So I think here's the deal. At some point, somebody has to say, I don't want to have to go first again, but here we are. Or I'm not going first anymore, and I'm willing to lose my marriage. I'm willing to lose everything over it because I'm not going first again. And I don't like the way you've gotten grumpier and grumpier and grumpier as we finally got this thing we've been talking about for 10 years. And I can judge you for the grumpiness, or I can get curious. What in the world? We finally got it. We're free. We got enough money. We got enough everything. Be curious about it. Curiosity is an invitation. Judgment is a declaration of exclusion. Get out of here. But it's one of those things like, yeah, you've done a ton of work, and it's easy to look around and be pissed off that everyone else isn't doing that work. What I'll tell you is that doesn't get them closer to the work. It makes them feel more ashamed. It makes them feel more frustrated. It makes them feel more annoyed, and they get further and further away. So maybe after he gets off the phone from the intake, unable to work the computers that even the intake requires, bringing him a cup of decaf coffee at night and putting your hand on his arm and saying, hey, that was hard. I remember all the way back to the first time I did a counseling appointment. That's hard. I'm proud of you for making that call, and I want you to know that I feel loved. What if you did that? No, 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 no. I'm going to hold your face. I'm going to look you in the eye. I want you to know that I'm proud of you, and that made me feel loved. This is step one to a pretty amazing fourth quarter in our lives. I get to pick that. Or I can roll my eyes and be like, I can't believe you're so mad about that. Especially in older men, shame often comes out as anger. I don't know how. I know how to build a building. I know how to landscape a property. I've been a contractor my whole life. I don't even know how to talk to my wife. It's a skills issue. I think your marriage has all the upside in the world. I really do. I think it's both of y'all who are tired, wondering why each other doesn't like each other. I think it's both of y'all setting ego down and saying, here's the path to my heart. I need a path to yours, and I'm going to commit to do it. Will you commit to? And if both of y'all can do that and learn some new skills in therapy, man, you're going to have an awesome fourth quarter. You get to choose what happens next. Both paths are going to be hard. You got to just choose your heart.